One of the best parts about dbt is its ability to create a data dictionary for you. You can add documentation to the model or columns, and it'll generate that website for you. And in this video, we'll go through how you can use what's called docs blocks to better maintain your documentation and make it a little bit easier to use as your project grows. We're back in Visual Studio here, where I have a very simple project, and most importantly, what we're concerned with here is our YAML files. What we've covered up until this point, and what is completely acceptable in the dbt world, is to just write out your descriptions for each column. But there are some scenarios where this might not be the best course of action. Maybe it's too long, maybe you need to reuse it a bunch of times. So what we're doing is docs blocks. First, how do we add one? Well, first we could just add it right in here if we wanted. We could just say, new file, schema.md. You have to end it with the .md. That's the one requirement. And if we go back to the documentation, we can see this is the syntax. You have to wrap it in a jinja docs tag here. So let's copy this. We'll just put it in here. I'm not going to adjust this particular description. I just want to show you how it works. So let's say we want to use this description as the description of this model. Let's just say right now we have this, but we want to use whatever we've put in here. And what's good about this example is it shows you how it will keep the formatting. So here we have a link, we have some bullet points, and this will be captured in this document. Now again, how do we use this? It's as simple as this. It's kind of like adding a ref function or a source, any of those other things that we've touched on already, but instead of just a doc tag. So now let's go back to our model here. Let's say we want to put it as the description for this model. I'm going to paste this in. And if we look at these two side by side, just to recap, it's doc and then the name of the docs jinja block that you put in here. So here it knows it's docs, table events, and here it will know to reference that here as well. Now let me show you how this will look. I'm going to run the commands dbt docs generate. Now this is served, so let's take a look at this. Models, staging. Which one? I think we did, my first model. And if we look at the description here, this is coming from this docs block by way of this function right here. And you can see it kept all the formatting in place. We have the link, we have the bullet points, etc. And then obviously you could come in here and edit this, do whatever you wanted, and it would reflect it here. You don't need to change it here, you just change it in this docs block. In a common dbt structure, you're likely going to have staging. You might have another folder, let's say for core, for your, let's say, data warehousing models, just the base models. And perhaps you have another one for marts. This is just going based off of, some of the suggested layouts of dbt projects. But let's say we're using this team details, and let's say we have, this is the staging model, and then we have a very similar one here. And then let's say we have the same thing here, team details marts. Again, don't worry about the naming, it's just for example. The point being, it's very likely that you're going to have the same description in multiple places. Let's say you need to change the definition of what the team is for whatever reason. You'd have to change it here, here, and here. It's over and over again. So a nice use case of docs blocks here is to consolidate your definition so that anytime you make a change, it's just in one place and it will be reflected throughout. That concept of dry, don't repeat yourself. So let's look at that example here. One way that you could set this up potentially is you could create a folder here called docs, but within here, this is where you can hold all of your shared documentation. So let's say we have team details docs or common team details, whatever you want to call this. And in here, we can keep all of the definitions that we would want that would be affiliated with this. So let's try that. So what we could do here is, maybe we want to call this team details, team name. I'll just put all the columns in here. And what I'll do is copy the descriptions for each of these in here. You don't need the quotations because it's just implied here. We want to get rid of the white space here, so I'm going to delete that. Save. And now what we can do here, similar to how we handled this with this docs function, we can add this here as well. Instead of table events, let's say team details, team name. And we'll go through and update these as well. So now what we can do is copy these to the rest of them. And you can see how this is going to play out. Obviously, this is a very small model. There's only 3 columns here, but once you start to grow out your project and you have multiple models with many, many columns, the maintenance and the code reviews can get really out of hand quickly, and using docs blocks is a really nice way to handle that. That'll do it for this video. I hope you found this helpful. If you did, please feel free to like the video. It really does help the channel. Leave a comment if you have any questions, and I'll do my best to answer. And I will see you at the next one. Thanks for watching.